Hello, Internet, this is Tyler England. And this video is called Why Vote for UKIP. Well, many people consider thingy to be UKIP to be right-wing and extremists and Nazis and well, that's what you'd get from the typical Unite Against Fascism and all those annoying organisations. And I hate to tell you, well, sorry to kind of disappoint you, but Nigel Farage is not a Nazi, so sorry to disappoint you, Labour or Conservatives or whoever wants to call him a Nazi because he's not. As for the racism bit, well, I know that UKIP's seemed to have trouble with this policy, but I'm confident that at some point I think UKIP will probably become more tolerant, you know, and yeah, I mean UKIP's pretty tolerant for a right-wing party, to be fair, you know, it's not the BNP or the EDL or whatever else for that matter. Anyway, I'm not going to go into extreme right-wing politics. This video is why vote for UKIP. This is not a BNP video or EDL. Anyway, first of all, why vote for UKIP? Well, many people. Obviously, the EU appears to be a big, giant, massive issue, and can I blame you? No, actually. I understand what people are saying. You know, the EU seems to control our laws, some of them, I'm not saying all of them, but they seem to allow an immigration when they please, and they seem to do anything they like. You know, it's ridiculous. In fact, the human rights of Europe, or whatever you want to call it, interfered on the thingy that, you know, whether prisoners should get the vote. Well, a lot of people's clear opinion, including mine, is the prisoners should not get the vote. And UKIP fully supports that. Why shouldn't prisoners get the vote? Because it's clear. Obviously, you know, well, you committed the crime, you face the punishments, you know. Well, if you murdered someone, you could expect a certain amount of years in prison, you know. It's as simple as. Rules are rules. Regulations are regulations, and the law, well, things should be kept that way. Yeah. Well, if we do end up leaving the EU, I don't think things will go completely havoc, or anything of that nut. I mean, for a while we might be a bit less, well, we might be a bit more poorer, but then again, that, you know, that comes, innit, really. As for EU businesses or whatever quitting and leaving the UK, well, businesses simply aren't, a lot of businesses simply aren't just going to pack up their bags and leave instantly like that, are they now? They spend millions of pounds investing into the thing, and if they want their products made here, then, well, if they want their products made, obviously made here or whatever, they're going to keep investing. I mean, they might cut back a bit, you know, some unemployment might come for a while, I suppose, but I'm confident in thinking that UKIP should be able to, you know, come up with something. Well, there is, I mean, I'm sure we could come up with something, you know. There is plenty of jobs. Well, there is plenty of other jobs, you know. I mean, I know it's quite difficult for people these days to find a job, and I accept that fact. But, you know, I mean, let's face the fact, we've got all sorts of jobs. And I mean, it's not like, I mean, I know guilds in other countries are a bit more harder than getting them from the EU, but it has been done before, and I could guarantee you, quite a lot of the jobs in the UK are probably either half the time, you know, not all jobs come from the EU, and I can definitely say, you know, some jobs come from elsewhere, and I believe, well, we should obviously have some sort of trade agreement with Europe. You know, we could probably, we've done deals the world before when it comes to jobs, so I'm sure some of them will invest. Anyway, yeah, I can't see. I think leaving the EU is probably the best way forward, even if it means financially we're all a bit poorer. It's better than being under some nutter foreign crazy order that should have no right to control our laws and no right to control our borders, in my opinion. Let's move on to the subject of limited immigration. UKIP recognises the benefits of limited immigration. Now, I agree. Now, here I am. I'm probably going to be called racist. Oof, I don't know. In the comments below, I imagine I'm going to be called racist, or apparently I'm going to be called a Nazi. I'm an extremist. Whatever. That's, of course, that is what's going to happen in the comments section, I guarantee it. Not that I want it to, but it will. My responses to you is, well, a load of people seem to be living here illegally, which is not fair, because we're wasting taxpayers' money on hunting them down all the time. And I mean, there's thousands of them here. We're not all fools, you know. There are thousands of them here illegally. So we will find you and hunt you down. Oh, don't you worry. Yeah, you know. Anyway, you know. Well, we're talking. Let me move on to the subject of illegal immigration. Now, as long as it's controlled and basically have and meet our standards, and I suppose can support themselves for a while, that pretty much, well, is a fair policy, because, you know, I mean, let's face the facts, we can't take everyone in, and no offence to anyone who's an immigrant and who's been here for whatever, but it's a simple fact. The population's what, over 70 million? I don't think, personally, as an island nation, we can take too much more. I mean, you know, it's just crazy. What I mentioned, while I stick on the subject of immigration, I'll mention as well more a bit about racism now. UKIP seemed to have its troubles, dozens of, well, people in the party, but then again, my point is people, you're going to get your bad elements in every party, whether you vote Labour, whether you vote Conservatives or whoever, or Green Party. Anyway, whatever party you vote for, there'll always be some sort of element. But, I mean, clearly, you know, there's racism and so on, wherever you turn. I'm afraid that's just life. You know, racism isn't going to go away, folks. The only way that you can, so-called, you know, prove that racism is wrong or whatever, it's better, you know, well, just prove you're better then, you know, because it's not going away. And I know there's been a lot of stuff going on in the media with racism, but then again, you know, I'm sure the Conservatives have had their plenty, but, you know, anyway, it's just the way the media, oh yes, might as well give the media some criticism while I'm here as well. The media is not exactly brilliant towards UKIP. In fact, you know what, probably gives more criticism to UKIP than anyone else as far as I'm concerned. Well, the only reason is because the government's getting desperate. Obviously, because after UKIP winning, I think it's about 4 MPs now in Parliament, only 4, the other parties are all getting desperate because UKIP, is rising. And clearly, people have had enough, which is fair enough. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as long as the immigrants are limited, well, as long as there's a limited amount of them coming in every year, they can support themselves, I suppose, for a certain amount of time. And, hey, apart from that, fine. I mean, I'm not exactly sure on the number of immigrants coming in every year, but I think I think a number. Obviously, UKIP's going to have to accept it within the thousands, but we won't be accepting the hundreds of thousands. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers. Oh well. Limited immigration, maybe 80,000 a year, I don't know. Maybe perhaps 80,000 new immigrants coming in every year, I don't know. Might even be less than that. Now, UKIP may seem not nice towards Romanians or whatever, but that is because they've joined the poorer nations of Eastern Europe, decided to join the European Union, obviously. So, I mean, I'm not being funny, but I think you probably well are better off supporting, I think you really are better off. I don't want to sound racist here. How do I put this? Oh dear. Let me think. Well, really, I think you're. I kind of think that, well, in order to get in, you should meet our standards. That's it. And I mean, I don't think we might get a lot of Romanians, we might not. Sometimes even the logical thing doesn't make sense. Well, we're just going to stick with the fact. Limited and controlled immigration. If they meet our standards, fine. I don't mind. And that's for people who claim we're limiting immigration because of race. Well, I hate to tell you, but it seems to... Well, actually, I would like to tell you, it seems to me that UKIP, although, despite the random remarks it makes, I think Nigel Farage, as we said, as long as the immigration can sort of look after themselves for a while and pay their way, it's nothing wrong with it. And, well, as for other cultures, as long as they obey our law and, sort of, as long as they obey our law and, I suppose, respect our culture, their culture is fine, I suppose. Yeah. UKIP's not saying don't bring your culture along, but because you can do that. But what we are saying is, if you're going to come here, you need to respect our culture. Nigel Farage, as I said, is sort of doing the immigration thing based on the Australian system, which, although that can be quite harsh, people like to claim, I believe that is a fair enough way. Look, you come here, it's simple. You either like us, or you don't. And as far as I'm concerned, if you don't like us, then keep out. If you don't like the UK, keep out. It's just as simple as that. Nothing more, nothing less. Anyway, that's another reason about UKIP. We're not... hang on, let me think. Speaking of foreigners, the foreign aid budget will be cut under UKIP, apparently, which is fair enough. I mean, I'm not saying cut all of it. I mean, if charities who support other countries, UKIP's happy to have the remaining, whatever remains of the budget, but we will be cutting it by a certain amount, because it's really about time we are well considered looking after ourselves. I mean, it seems to me governments in these other countries a lot of the time either spending the money on weapons or don't seem to give a bananas. Even if your government's quite poor, it still has a responsibility to look after the people. Oh, well, I think so anyway. Yeah. UKIP will not give prisoners the vote, no matter what Europe throws at us. We will not give prisoners the vote. It's a simple fact. And if anyone doesn't like that, go and move to Europe. Or mainland Europe. That's my advice to you. Because clearly a lot of people are in favour for prisoners not getting the vote, and so am I. I mean, after the prisoners have done their time or their punishment, then yeah, I suppose they should be able to vote again. But while they're in prison, no, they should not be able to vote. Anyway, that's just another thing. UKIP will be busy increasing our armed forces, so I believe, which is a good thing. I mean, I'm not a bit funny, but as Nigel Farage has said in one of his brilliant interviews, you don't know what's going to happen, and clearly Afghanistan and that have proven I don't think our military, although they fought bravely and all the rest of it, don't get me wrong. Anyone who's in the military is well, in my opinion, is a hero anyway. The kit just does not seem to exactly be up to the job, as it's proved throughout the campaigns, and it's, it's really, we do need to be improving our technology. I mean, I'm not saying I support Ukraine, because UKIP's policy, I think one of its things is to keep out foreign conflicts, basically. I mean, I'm not trying to say that, I'm not accusing Russians or whoever will attack us, but with recent events in Europe, I would just say prepare our military in case, because, I mean, you might have, and anyway, it doesn't even need to be Russia. For all we know, it could be small as stuff like, whoever, small nutter terrorist groups. That's an excellent policy, building up the military. And about the NHS being privatised, well, no. There's been a lot of rumours, but, people change from time to time, don't they? They stick with something for a while, and then they, I mean, many of you consider, UKIP won't deliver on a lot of its policies. Well, as long as UKIP delivers on as long as UKIP deliver on some of their policies, it's not too bad. And it doesn't seem to mention anything to me about privatising the National Health Service on their website. Anyway, I just think there are reasonable reasons to vote UKIP. Of course, there's a whole load of other policies that I haven't mentioned yet, and, well, I'm not going to spend all night going through them, because I've got a last update video to produce. So, whatever. So, if you want to find out more, if you're considering voting for UKIP, or you want to find out more, there is this website, www.ukip.org, that tells you about the party in general, and how the whole thing started, and if you want to get involved, and if you want to give UKIP funding or whatever. So www.ukip.org. For policies, I would do www.ukip.org policies for people. That will have all the things that UKIP are supposed, all the policies that UKIP are supposed to Well, that's what they put on the website. I've got some of this stuff, a lot of this stuff on the website, so that's some of the stuff that UKIP will have from that. They're all of UKIP's policies on there, right? This is Tyler England signing out.